Hello and welcome back to the lesson. The subject is taxation. In today's lesson, we are going to highlight the rights of a VAT-registered person in Kenya. And in Kenya, being a VAT-registered person comes with both obligations and rights. And these rights are generally aligned with the broader taxpayer rights, but also include specific provisions related to value-added tax, the VAT. That is our focus in our today's lesson. By the end of this lesson, the objective is that you should be able to explain the rights of a VAT-registered person in Kenya. And the first right is the right to claim input tax deduction. A VAT-registered person in Kenya, number one, has a right to claim input tax deduction. The right to claim input tax deduction. One, right to claim input tax deduction. The right to claim input tax deduction. A VAT-registered person has the right to deduct input tax paid on purchases and expenses from their output tax. Now, the output tax is the VAT charged on sales. Output tax is the VAT charged on sales. So this is a fundamental principle of VAT, ensuring that the tax is only on value added. You understand? That's the first right. The right to claim input tax deduction. A registered VAT person in Kenya has that right. The second right is right in relation to refund. Right to VAT refunds. Right to VAT refunds. Right to VAT refunds. If the input tax exceeds the output tax, if the input tax exceeds the output tax, if input tax exceeds the output tax, e.g. due to making zero-rated supplies, or even just tax withheld by appointed agents, or certain supplies to official aid-funded projects, the registered person is entitled to refund of the excess input tax. The excess input tax is a right of a registered VAT person in Kenya. So taxpayers are also eligible to claim refunds where the customer has been placed under statutory management. For example, administration, receivership, or liquidation. So right to VAT refunds is a right of a VAT-registered person in Kenya. Right number three is the right to issue invoice tax or tax invoices, to issue tax invoices. A registered VAT person in Kenya has the right to issue tax invoices. All right? He has the right to issue proper tax invoices that are generated from e-teams that include details of the sales transactions and the VAT charged. That is crucial for their customers to claim input tax. And they also issue credit notes and debit notes for returned goods or valid deductions in the value of supply, referencing the original invoice. So the right to issue tax invoice is another right. Number four is the right to confidentiality. Right to confidentiality. Right to confidentiality and privacy. Taxpayers have a right to confidentiality and privacy concerning their tax affairs, as per the administration of tax laws. 5. Right to object. Taxpayers have a right to object to tax decisions, and appeals. Right to object to tax decision and appeals. A VAT registered person has the right to object to a tax decision made by the Kenya Revenue Authority. And if the objection decision is unfavorable, they have the right to appeal to the Tax Appeals Tribunal and further to the High Court and the Court of Appeal. The right to object to a tax decision or appeals. Number 6 is right to ADR. Right to ADR, alternative dispute resolution. Alternative dispute resolution. A VAT registered person has a right to alternative dispute resolution. Taxpayers have the right to pursue alternative dispute resolution processes to resolve tax disputes with the Kenya Revenue Authority. Candidates, we are discussing the rights of a VAT registered person. The 7th right is the right to apply for waiver of penalty. Right to apply for waiver of penalty. Taxpayers have a right to apply for waiver of penalty or interest and interest. Right to apply for waiver of penalty and interest. Under certain circumstances, a registered person under VAT can apply for a waiver of penalties and interest incurred on overdue tax. That is right number 7. Right number 8. Right number 8 is the right to deregister from VAT. Right to deregister from VAT. There are certain circumstances that may allow for the deregistration of a VAT registered person. A VAT registered person who ceases to make, for example, taxable supplies, or whose turnover falls below the prescribed threshold in Kenya currently is 5 million, such a person has the right to apply for deregistration from VAT. 9. Right to timely. A VAT registered person has a right to timely processing of funds, of refunds. Right to timely processing of refunds, because we have the set timelines by law. So the Kenya Revenue Authority aims to process funds within 90 days for taxpayers with no issues and clean ledgers. So taxpayers have a right to timely processing of refunds. So candidates, these are 9 rights of a registered person in Kenya, VAT registered person in Kenya. We started by noting that in Kenya, being a VAT registered person comes with rights, and these rights are generally aligned with the broader taxpayer rights, but there are also those rights that are specific or related to VAT. The first one being the right to claim input tax deduction. Number 2, right to VAT refunds. 3, right to issue tax invoices. 4, right to confidentiality and privacy. 5, right to object to tax decision and appeal. 6 is a right to alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. 7, right to apply for waiver of interest and penalty on overdue tax. 9, this is 8, right to deregister from VAT. Then 9, right to timely processing of refunds. These are 9 rights of a VAT registered person in Kenya. And it's important to note that these rights come with corresponding obligations. These rights come with corresponding obligations, such as maintaining proper records, such as filing returns on time, such as paying due VAT, and so on. Because non-compliance can lead to penalties and restrictions, including being placed on a VAT special table, which can affect input tax claims and so on. That's why in our next session, we'll be looking at the obligations of a VAT-registered person. And candidates, for the most appropriate, for the most accurate and up-to-date information, it is critical that as a taxpayer, you keep in touch with any correspondence or guidelines about VAT from the Kenya Revenue Authority. As a taxpayer, it's important for you to keep abreast. And the advantage now is that most of these services that are offered by the Kenya Revenue Authority are automated. Okay, they are computerized. You can get more information on the KRA website. There is also the VAT Act of 2013, and we have the subsequent finance acts, which are enacted each and every financial year. We also have the regulations and so on. So these are 9 rights of a VAT-registered person. Thank you for attending the lesson. We meet in our next session where we will discuss the obligations of a VAT-registered person. Bye-bye.